So, hello, everyone. We'll give just 1 minute for the participants to join, and then we start. So I see that the attendees are joining our webinar. Okay, so we start. So hello, everyone. I'm happy to welcome you online. Today, we're having an international lecture. And before starting it, I would like to say thank you to our interpretation partner, Well Done Company, and also to our information partner, Work UA. And our today's lecture is going to be in the English language. And if you want to listen to it in the Ukrainian one, you can switch to the preferable channel. There is a button in the lower part of your screen, and you can choose either English or Ukrainian. And today we're going to speak about staying calm and resilient in times of crisis and danger. And I'm happy to introduce and give the floor to our today's speaker. Neil Urquhart is a veteran leadership and communication skills trainer, coach and facilitator, and a martial artist with 22 years of international experience on 5 continents, including many trips to Ukraine. And dear colleagues, all your questions are welcome in the chat box, and you can also use the function of raising your hand. Well, Neil, the floor is yours, and we are happy to listen to you.
Thank you. Last week, I went to Pompeii. As many of you know, Pompeii was covered by a volcano in AD 79. And I watched a documentary the same day after I'd visited Pompeii and heard from a professor about the responses, what people's responses to the disaster. As also some of you may know, there are some bodies that were preserved in the ash. There were about 20,000 people who were originally in the town of Pompeii, 20 to 30,000. And at the one uncovering them due to excavation, archaeological excavation, they found about 1,000 people so far. There might be more, but they found about 1,000 people who stayed and were covered by the ash. And there's lots of theories as to why they were covered by the ash. But one of the theories that the professor was advocating, and I think sounds about right, is the fact that they froze. So they froze not in terms of physical freezing, but psychological freezing. That's a response. So one response is we flee, we run away, we go in the other direction from danger, and a lot of people did that. But also a lot of people froze, they stayed in place. So in a disaster, we've seen that here in London. I'm in London, by the way. We've seen that here in London, in the Grenfell fire, that people stayed in place. They froze, and that's what caught them. And what happens even in the face of a disaster or in the face of a crisis is sometimes even after this time, even after we have, the danger has passed, we still freeze. And when we freeze, not necessarily physical freezing, but it could be psychological freezing, then we end up doing this very little, or we end up doing the same habit again and again. And this is part of what I'll be talking about today when I'm talking about staying calm and resilient in these times of crisis and danger. So, used myself there by accident. One thing that I'd like you to do today, I'm going to be doing some exercises. Don't worry, they're very gentle and leading you through some breathing, leading you through some very gentle exercises. But do whatever you need to do. Stop if you need to. Allow your emotions, whatever they are. If you need to pause, switch the camera off, go away, get a cup of tea or some water, please do. And you only have to do what you can as well. I will take questions. I know you can post questions in the chat, but I'll take the questions towards the end. So there are two focuses today. One of the focuses that I'm going to be looking at is what should you do when you're in danger. So this is when you have extremely high stress levels. So it's a very dangerous situation. And the other one is when you're out of immediate danger. And I don't know what situations you're in right now, but when you're out of immediate danger, there may still be a level of stress, anxiety, similar to the people of Pompeii. You might have had that freeze response at one point, and you're still suffering something like that, even psychologically, still, even after the danger has passed. And that is very, very common. And the things that I'm going to be introducing you to and talking to are zero to low cost, and they're effective as well. So one of the things I'm going to be talking about today is something called embodiment. I'll talk about what it is in a moment, but first of all, I want to talk about what it isn't. So embodiment is not the body aesthetic, as you see with the picture of Marilyn Monroe there, and it's not the body athletic, as you can see with the picture of the hunky fireman there. These are the typical images you get from social media or the internet. Actually, embodiment is being aware and sensing more, having, as you can see here on the left, without embodiment and with embodiment. It's a little bit of a joke, but it's about this being more alive and more sensitive. As Lilia said kindly in her introduction, I've been doing martial arts for about 20 years, over 20 years, and there are different schools of martial arts. I don't know what your experience of martial arts is, but there are different schools of martial arts. For example, some schools of karate, you make yourself like a piece of steel, in the sense of you bash wood, you hit things, you try to make your body insensate, so not sensitive, the opposite. So you can hit anything, and you try to reduce your pain responses. That's not what I do. That's the kind of the opposite of what I do in the way I've been taught. It's actually about becoming more sensitive and more able to change and adapt and be responsive. For me, if you're completely insensitive or you're stiff, then it prevents you from adapting or changing to a situation that might rapidly evolve and change. So one thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to lift up your arm, and I'd like you to poke your arm, just as if it was a piece of meat. This is the body as sarx, and this is what the ancient Greeks called sarx. Sarx is, just flesh. The body is just flesh. It's just matter. So if we treat it like it's flesh, it's this sense of just it being nothing more than a brain taxi, right? It ferries your brain around. But actually, what we need to think of the body more like is soma. Soma. Imagine. So now I'd like you to stroke your arm, to touch your hand and your arm, and remember the time that the people that it's held, it's babies, it's created art, perhaps it's cooked meals. Your arm and your body has what it has done. Feel it, move it. It's not just sarx, it's not just merely flesh. it is much more than that. It is soma. So we can talk about three different levels. We can talk about of the body and connection relating to the body. We can, if we do only exercise, we can talk about the body as object. So you've seen people, may have seen people, if you've never been to a gym, you might have seen pictures of people at a gym where they're pumping iron, and the focus is just on perhaps developing specific muscles. Then another level, we can use it as a body awareness practice. Mindfulness is very common in corporate circles these days. I'm sure you may have heard of, given this audience, you've heard of mindfulness or being mindful, and that's being aware of the body. What is the body doing? But there's another level beyond that, which is as a self-awareness and development practice, being aware as a body, working with the person through the body. So this is another level of what I would call embodiment or embodied. By the way, there's nothing wrong with simple exercise or mindfulness. They are differing levels, but I believe that there are levels beyond this. What are the impacts of your embodiment? Well, I'll come to the impacts of embodiment in crisis and stress and difficult situations, but your embodiment in general will affect your levels of interpersonal connection. So how well you're able to relate to others. After all, if you're closed off, if you're very stressed, it's very difficult to interact well with others. Sometimes you may have heard the acronym HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So if you are in any of those states, then it's going to affect the way that you interact with others. In English, we also talk about hangry. That is a combination of hunger and anger. So it affects the level that we interact with others. It affects your cognition, or how well you are able to think and sense. It affects your emotions as well. So related to that stress and anger, how well you're able to relax. It certainly affects your health. And I'm going to go on to talk about the effects of relaxation, even being able to hurt less. So your body, physically, emotionally, to be able to hurt less when you're relaxed. And it also affects your, when I talk about spiritual, I'm not talking about your belief in God or a higher being. I'm also talking about your sense of purpose, your sense of meaning in the world. And related to that as well, your sense of ethics, because if you are hungry, angry, lonely, tired, you are feeling very scared, then it's easy for ethics to disappear or to be thrown away, because we're not connected so deeply with the impact that it will have on other people. I think I'll come back to that slide. One thing I'll talk a little bit more now about is something related to what I've just talked about, is embodied intelligence. So what happens if I have embodied intelligence? It allows me to be more aware. How am I right now? So I'd like you to do that right now and just do a little scan. Maybe sit upright in your chair or wherever if you're leaning against something, and just take a moment to feel your feet on the ground. Maybe do this inside your shoes or slippers. Feel your legs. Maybe they are touching the chair. Your back. Is your back touching anything? So I've just leaned back against my chair. How about your hands? Where are your hands in space? What are they touching? Or are they upright? How is your tongue lying in your mouth? What can you taste? I can taste coffee. What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you see around you? Maybe look around the room that you're in and notice something that you haven't seen for a while. Look at it differently. And just do a scan, a internal scan, as it were, with your mind, from the top of your head all the way down through your body. How is your body feeling all the way down through your stomach, through your hips, your thighs, knees, ankles, feet? So tapping into your senses, tapping into your taste, your smell, your sight, your sense of touch, all of these things can immediately bring a sense of embodiment. And when we're in stress, when we're in danger, when we're in difficult situations, it's very easy for us to lose this sense and to have a kind of freeze response or stiffening. And that doesn't help us to make good assessments as to what to do next. So we're going to go deeper into this a little bit later, but just hopefully you've noticed something. You've just become a little bit more self-aware of how you are right now, at least your physical state. Of course, there's your mental state as well. How are you feeling? There is your psychological state, your mental and emotional state. So those are other levels. This graph, or this little image here, is based on the work of Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman, as some of you may know, is one of the inventors of the term emotional intelligence, and it's an adapted graph that one of my teachers, Mark Walsh, uses to talk about the difference between state and pattern. What's your state is your temporary state, like how you are in your body right now. So how you're feeling, what you're sensing, and also pattern is, or trait is, how you are generally speaking, a longer term trait. So you may have particular ways of doing things. These would be your patterns, your psychological patterns. Some people might be very detail orientated. Some people might be very driven and goal orientated. I imagine some of you as managers are like this. You want to get to the point as quickly as possible. So whatever our patterns are. State is something that we can affect quickly. Pattern takes much longer and deeper work. So self-awareness, how am I doing right now, is fundamental. It's basic, but it's fundamental, as before I can help and do the other parts of this diagram. So for example, social awareness, how are they? So I talked before, if I'm hungry, angry, lonely, tired, it affects my interpersonal sense, my ability to relate and to connect to others, be able to sense how they are, because I'm so focused on my own needs. If I'm hungry, I want to feed, I want to get some food. So if I can relax or bring myself back to some level of self-awareness, then I can be more socially aware. How are they doing? What's their state? What's their pattern as well? So how are they right now? So that's social awareness. I can also, if I'm able to self-regulate, this is the bottom left one here, manage myself. If I'm able to manage myself, being able not just to be aware, that's kind of a level of mindfulness, I guess you call that, but I'm also able to regulate myself. I'm also able to change my state, change the way I am right now, my mental, emotional, physical state. Then that's going to help to do the next thing. Of course, it's helpful for me to manage myself, but then it also allows me to, once I'm aware how other people are, I can influence others better because I can notice how they are, and then I can make a decision as to what they need. Maybe some of you are managing teams, and those teams are distant. Maybe they've had to leave their homes. Maybe they're in other countries now, and you still have to lead those teams. So first of all, being able to manage yourself and manage your own state is important for you to be able to better lead those people and to better influence those people, to be able to socially regulate. We can talk about somebody who is super regulated or is a super regulator. That means, or co-regulation as well. That is, if I regulate myself, self-regulation, then I'm better able, I will influence the others to be calm, for example. So if I'm calm, then it's much more likely that other people will be calm. So I talked about in the introduction, or not in the introduction, in the blurb, the written part of this introducing this lecture, about the surprising truth about changing your state. The surprising truth of changing your physical, emotional, and mental state is it's simple, or it can be. Stack et al. Did some facial feedback hypothesis. They discovered that if you need to laugh, then you could, if you even put a pencil between your teeth, then this will influence your emotional state, and you will much more likely laugh or smile. So even simulating the state of laughter, because you're by putting the pencil between your teeth, then you will you're using the similar or same muscles as you would when you laugh or smile. It will make you much more likely to smile or to laugh. But that's scientific research, and there's scientific research I could go into, but let's look at some really simple practices that you can use yourself as well. You can use a lot of them. You can use anywhere, anytime. And I'm going to introduce you to 6 different practices today. The first 3 I'm going to introduce you to are check-ins, AAI, I'll talk about what that is, and embodied gratitude. So one of those things that you can do is a check-in with yourself. You could put an alarm. You could put on your phone. You could put an alarm. You could set yourself a particular time to do this. You could do this. I would suggest doing this a few times a day. And it can be as simple as what we did earlier, which is to do a physical check-in. So starting from your feet, feeling your feet in your shoes or slippers, sensing your body, using all your senses, your 10 sense of touch, your sense of smell, your sense of hearing, sense of sight. So this can be something you can do by yourself, and it can also be something you can do as a group activity as well, just to pause before you move into starting a meeting, for example. Something that you can help you to be aware of your state and make any changes that you might need to. So simply you might be, oh, actually my neck's a bit stiff. Or maybe I just need to stretch my neck a little bit or move my head around. So very simply, a regular check-in allows you to realize something maybe that you're missing about yourself. It might mean that actually, oh, you know what, I actually need to have a nap. I need to have a rest. I think that's one thing that's easily lost in times of stress. And I work with a lot of overworkers, people who work too hard, too much, and sometimes they burn out. And that's especially it's more likely to happen during times of crisis and danger. So stopping and checking in is actually extremely important, so that you're not going over your limits on a far too regular basis. We're biological entities. We need rest. We need renewal. We need revitalization. And that's especially important that you get, even in times of crisis and danger, that you take your moments to sleep. You take your moments to relax. Sleep is even more important when in those times. So don't just cut out your sleep. Don't just cut out naps if you can have them. Don't avoid doing good habits where you can. One of those good habits are those daily check-ins, just checking in with yourself physically. You can also do this emotionally. So how am I feeling, without necessarily needing to change it, but just to be aware. So the next one that I is called AAI. And it's a sort of slight development on the last one, on a check-in. Awareness. So let's do this together. We had a quick scan earlier. So come back to that scan of your body. How are you doing right now? Feeling your legs against the chair again. Feeling your back. Maybe noticing something that you didn't notice before. So maybe how's the back of your head? Can you feel anything through it? Can you sense anything from it? And then acceptance is saying yes to how you are. So accepting how you are. It's okay to be how you are right now. Something has occurred, something has happened. Maybe you're in a different country, maybe you're in a different house, maybe you're in a different situation than you've been in previously last month, but just allowing and accepting how you are right now. So saying yes to how you are before trying to change it, or just accepting it. And then thinking, how would you like to be? How would you like to be? What's the intention that you have? How would you like to change that state, if anything? So first, awareness. How am I? Feeling your body, feeling your emotional state. Acceptance, saying yes to how you are before trying to change. And then what's your intention? How would you like to be? For example, if you would like to be a little bit more energized, you don't need to drink a liter of coffee per se. You don't need to do some incredibly complex, difficult thing. It can be as simple as wherever you are, walking up and down more quickly, going up and down some stairs. So for example, that might be something. If your intention is to calm down, for example, then sitting and doing some breathing exercises might be the right thing to do. And I'll talk about, I'm going to introduce you to some simple breathing exercises, and you will notice the changes that those can make very quickly as well. So what's your intention? Where would you like to be next? The next one, another very simple practice, is gratitude. being grateful, the state of being grateful. This is sometimes people do this a gratitude practice, and it can be just a list. So it can be a short verbal or written list. What are you thankful for today? What are you grateful for today, or grateful for now? It could be for the love of a partner, it could be about having a cup of water. It could be being in a safe place. It could be just being alive. What are you grateful for today? What are you grateful for right now? It could be a verbal list. It could be a written list. It doesn't have to be endless. It could even be just 5 things or 3 things. And for each item, touching the center of your chest. So for example, you might say, I'm grateful that I have a warm cup of coffee. Touching the center of your chest. I'm grateful that I'm in a safe place. I'm grateful that I'm able to speak to you now from here from London. Having that sense of gratitude, it's not things that you aren't grateful for, it you really need to be grateful for. Having that sense of gratitude, the research shows its benefits of being grateful, of noticing and being grateful for the things that you have, the relationships that you may have, where you are, being grateful for where you are, being grateful for having food, having water, and adding the body by touching the center of your chest, it supercharges them. This is a simple gratitude practice, but it's supercharged by bringing the body back in. So those are 3 practices, very simple practices that you can bring in. One of them is the check-in. So checking in how you are physically and mentally and emotionally. One of them is the awareness, acceptance, and intention, feeling your body, saying yes to how you are before you change, and an intention, how would you like to be, and then making a change. And then there's the gratitude, a short verbal or written list where you feel your body fully, you touch the center of the chest for each item on your list, and you're able to connect in with things that you are actually grateful for. It can be surprisingly powerful, so don't dismiss it if you haven't tried it yet. So one of the things that I'll talk about now is about embodiment fundamental principles. First of all, I talked about self-awareness and other awareness of others. So having awareness is a key point, being able to be aware of how I am right now. So having those check-ins, for example, can help you do that. Once I'm more aware of how I am myself, and also maybe what I tend to do, so my pattern, my traits, how I tend to react, then I can start to think about how can I build range. And range is my ability to stretch and adapt and be able to change my behavior, change my state, change how I'm feeling mentally, emotionally, and physically, and then also change my trait or change my pattern over the longer term. So changing my being aware, I can then have the potential for building range, building adaptability in different situations. And then once I've got more range and I've practiced being able to change my behavior, change my state, then I've got choice as to what I can do next. So I'm going to introduce you to some 3 other simple practices that we can do as well. So awareness, range, and choice. So one of those very simple practices is breathing. So you're breathing all the time, but how you breathe can be affected by your state, your emotional, physical, or mental state. Every breath can be a mini relaxation. So there are 4 levels or depths of breathing. You can have upper level breathing, so the top part of your chest gets into the top part of your chest. This gets you in an alert state. It gets you very aware of how you are right now. There's a middle level where you're breathing into the middle part of your torso. So into this part of your lungs. And this is a very relaxing breath. Sorry, so middle level is a readiness breath. So you're ready for a workout or a race. You're ready for a confrontation. You feel brave, you feel powerful, you feel primed in the middle level here. And the one that we're going to do now is the lower level. Here you breathe into the lower level of your torso. This is down as far as you can. It's a deeply relaxing breath. You feel at ease, you feel calm, you feel intuitive. The last one, which we're not going to do now, but I can also talk about, is the full body breath. Here you don't breathe anywhere specific. The breath, you breathe everywhere. The breath is very light. It's energizing, and you feel very connected internally and externally. But let's do some lower level breathing. And I want you to, again, to sit back in your chair. You can do this, of course, you can do this anywhere. You can do this anytime. You don't, which is one reason I'm going to tell you to keep your eyes open during this process. Sometimes people associate this type of breathing with meditation, and you need to close your eyes and put your hands in a particular posture. You don't need to do any of that. You can keep your eyes open whilst you're doing this process. And I think that's really good to get into that habit of keeping your eyes open, because then you're able to do this anywhere. You can do this, let's say you know that you're going to be facing a difficult situation. You can do this before you enter that situation, or you can also do it in the middle. If you notice, oh, I'm getting stressed, I'm getting worried, I am tensing up, then you can do this to calm and relax yourself. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put your hand over your belly. So over your belly button. And in a moment, I'm going to get you to breathe into your belly and expand your belly. So you're not doing your shoulder breathing. So you're not doing chest breathing, which is what a lot of us will be doing but just watch my chest and watch my shoulder now. I'm breathing into my belly right now. So I'm not moving these two. Don't worry if you can't do it perfectly first time. It might take a little bit of practice, but it's something you can work towards. So putting your hand on your belly again. Let's take that moment to scan once more. Feel your feet inside your shoes. Feel your legs on the chair. Your back. Your hands. Where are your hands? One's on your belly. And then I want you to breathe into your belly for a count of 4. So we're going to breathe in through your nose, and you're going to breathe out through your mouth. So breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Breathing in and out for a count of 8. And let go. Breathing in. And out for a count of 10. If some of you are struggling to breathe towards the end, maybe make your mouth smaller. So it's a very small hole as you breathe out. Breathing in for a count of 4 again. And out for a count of 12. Two more breaths. Breathing in. And out for a count of 14. Breathing in again. And out for a count of 14 again. And breathe normally. But I want you to notice, how are you right now? What changes do you notice? If you were very calm beforehand, then you probably won't notice that much. Although sometimes if we're very stressed, or we're used to ignoring our feelings, then we become very insensitive in both senses of the word. So you might not notice that much, but a lot of you, I know, will have noticed that you are calmer. Why does this work? It's not magic. The 21st century research has shown us, especially through the work of Dr. Stephen Porges, he has researched something called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a nerve that starts in the brain. There's a large cluster of the vagus nerve in the brain, and it goes down the spine. The nerve endings go down the spine, and they touch every single major organ in the brain. In the body, every single organ in the body. And there's a large cluster of nerve endings just very close to your belly, your stomach. When we breathe in to the lower belly, then we activate this. We activate these nerve endings.
Proszę, no bo
When
czy
we
ja
activate these nerve endings, we activate something called the parasympathetic system. The parasympathetic system is also called the rest and digest system. So it tells your body that you are relaxed, that you should be relaxed. It relaxes you, actually. You release chemicals such as the acetylcholine when you activate your parasympathetic system. If any of you have got small children, or babies, or have had babies, if you ever watch them while they were sleeping, you'll notice that they breathe exclusively into their bellies. And what they're doing, the babies are doing, is they are relaxing. They're reducing any stress or anxiety they had through the day. They're relaxing themselves. And you can do this for yourself by breathing into your lower belly at any time, as I said. The longer you do it, the more relaxed you get. If you did 10 minutes of this, that would be fantastic, and you're much more likely to come to a relaxed state. The most important thing is you don't have to expand it infinitely, so it's not a competition. You don't have to breathe out for 20 or breathe out for 30. You don't need to do that. The most important thing is to slow the breath down. If you're able even just to manage 6, breathe in for 4, and then breathe out for 6, and then move to 8 and move to 10, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to do any more than 5, 6 breaths. Breathe out for a count of 5 or 6. And by doing that, one breath can be enough as well sometimes. But if you can do longer, you can do this. Of course, I'm doing this while I'm speaking to you now. You can be doing this when you're speaking. You can be doing this when you're sitting. You can be doing it when you're walking. So as I talked about, every breath can be a mini relaxation. If you are moving up and down, even in the place that you are, if you're moving along a street, if you're going shopping, then that every breath that you take can be a mini relaxation. You can breathe, concentrate on breathing into your belly. Most of us tend to breathe up in our chest as our normal breath. And if we're very stressed or anxious, we'll be breathing into our shoulders. But you can concentrate and learn to breathe down into your belly on a very regular basis by just focusing, I'm going somewhere. Every breath I'm going to take is a mini relaxation. You don't have to put your hand on your belly, by the way, because that would look a bit weird, wouldn't it? This is just to make you aware of where you are, make you aware of what you're doing and where your breath is. But that's one way in which you can start to relax yourself. So what happens when you relax is these things, that your heart rate slows, your blood pressure goes down, your digestion improves, your breathing slows down. Well, or you can concentrate on slowing it down. Your muscles relax. Something else that happens as well when you activate your parasympathetic system. So if you've ever had a massage, you'll have experienced this. Your muscles relax, but you hurt less. So any aches or pains that you have will be reduced. Your immune system works better, and you will sleep better as well. So making sure that you take time to relax yourself as often as possible, especially in these times of crisis, especially in times of danger, but if anything, this will help you to relax. So this breathing is one way that's always available for you, that you're always able to relax. And this, as I said, every breath can be a mini relaxation. Another thing that you can do as well, another is a state management tool. It's called centering, that works to optimize how we are as well. So there's 3, is ABC: awareness, being balanced, and our core relaxed. You can do this standing up, you can do this sitting down as well. So awareness similarly starts with this being mindful of the present moment, using the 5 senses, especially feeling the body, where you touch the ground, the chair, your breath. being, it should say balanced rather than breathing, but balanced, being balanced in posture. So sitting upright, not leaning over into one direction, but being balanced in your attention as well, being outwards, behind you. Reach out in all directions. And then progressively relaxing down your center line. So your center line is relaxed. In martial arts, the center line is extremely important. It's where you tend to attack or try to weaken your opponent, and relaxing your center line is extremely important to help you at that sense of relaxation. So relaxing your eyes. You could close them. Relaxing your mouth, your jaw muscles, a lot of tension there. You don't have to touch them. I'm just showing it for illustration. Relaxing your tongue in your mouth. Your throat. Your chest. Just taking a breath in, breathing out. Your belly. Your pelvic muscles, your hip muscles, muscles around your pelvis. So again, that awareness, it should say balance, being balanced. So balancing posture. If you're stood up, make sure you're equal on both legs. And you're relaxing your core or your center line. That can be another really simple practice. Okay, so the last practice I'm going to introduce you to, and then I'll be moving into questions. I'll do one more slide after this, and then we'll be moving to questions. Is something from my martial arts practice. Well, a lot of these are from martial arts practices as well. I guess one of the things about martial arts is that it's not about, I don't know, some people think it's about violence, and it's actually a lot more about self-development. I've never been in a fight. I've never needed to use my martial arts. It's not why I learn martial arts. I use it as a self-development tool. I use it as a tool for health. But one of the important parts here is that it regularly introduces you to psychologically intense and confrontational situations. So in my martial arts, someone's trying to hit me. They're trying to hit me with a punch. They're trying to hit me with a chop. They might be trying to hit me with a knife, stab me with a knife or with a sword. I do a lot of sword practice as well with real Japanese swords. So very sharp blades. And it helps you you have to be relaxed. You have to relax yourself. You have to get your sense and yourself into a state of relaxation. Otherwise, you tend to freeze. You become too stiff. You can't sense what the other person is doing. So some of these exercises are things that you can do immediately, right in the moment. So I used to do regular summer camps, Aikido summer camps. In fact, I'll be doing one this year. And very often you're called up to demonstrate, and you might be asked to demonstrate in front of 200 people, and not just 200, a regular crowd of 200 people, but 200 people who know exactly what you're doing and know what good and great looks like. So they are it's a very challenging, potentially challenging audience. And you also might be using a weapon, very often using weapons, so like a sword. Somebody might, and even if you're using a practice weapon like a wooden sword or some bamboo swords, they can very easily break. You could very easily break your arms, break a hand, break a leg, perhaps. That could happen. So you need to be very. There's the psychological pressure of the people around you, but there's also the psychological pressure of someone who's trying to hit you. So you have to be you have to get yourself in this composed state. One of the things that you can do as a preparatory, if you know that you're going into a difficult situation, or again, if you are out of danger, this is a great tool for you to use, is something called shaking. It's called Furitama in Japanese. The literal translation of Furitama is shaking the soul. And I'll introduce you to that now. For this, I invite you to stand up if you can. You don't have to do this standing up. You could do it in your seat, but I want to show you how it looks when you can stand up. So I'd like you to put your feet hip width apart, and so they're not like this, out like this, or hip width apart, and your legs should be straight down. Your feet should be parallel and not out to the side. Your knees should be slightly bent, so they're not stiff and rigid, but they're slightly bent. And your knees are going to act like springs. And then I'd like you to stand upright with your back straight. Gently open your shoulders, not pushing or straining. And we're going to do breathing into your belly as well. The same kind of breath that we were doing before. So this is another level up. So you're doing your breathing, and you're breathing however fast or however slow you're going, the breathing should remain the same. So breathing in for 4, breathing out for 8, breathing in for 4, breathing out for 8, however fast or slow you're going. So there's a level of differentiation. You're differentiating between the speed that you're going, and your breathing stays the same. So your legs are bent, your arms are relaxed, and you're going to put your left hand down by your belt, or where your belt might be, and put your right hand on top. And as you can see, my arms are relaxed. I'm not holding them up like this. They're relaxed. So I'm upright, my shoulders are open, and my knees are slightly bent. And we're going to gently start. As you can see, I'm moving up and down. My knees are acting like springs. I'm breathing into my belly. And I'm coming down. This is the bottom point. I'm coming down here. And this is the base point. It's like a stone, a heavy weight in your hand. I'm breathing into my belly. So you can be shaking out any tension that you have in your shoulders or your neck. This is using all the major muscle groups. So be careful that you're not folding over or falling back. Keep your body upright. And we're going to go a little bit faster. And faster still. You're relaxing your arms as you move them down. Relax, 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 let go, not stiffening. And pause. Keep your arms together, keep your hands together. And take a moment to notice, how does your body feel? I can feel my thighs are more warmed up, even though I've been sitting down for about an hour. My shoulders are more relaxed. Let go of your hands. What else can you notice? So that was a very short shaking. You can do it for 5 minutes easily, and that's a great way to release any tension, any psychological or physical tension that you might have in your body, because it's using all the major muscle groups. So those are 3 other simple practices that you should use as well. So breathing into your belly is the relaxation breath. It's amazingly good for reducing stress levels. As I said, it activates your parasympathetic system, which is your rest and digest system, and it has all those positive effects when you are able to relax using your rest and digest system. Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure goes down, your muscles relax, you hurt less. All of those things happen when you activate. So as I said, the surprising truth about changing your mental and physical and emotional state is that it's available to you at any moment. It's available to you all the time. Then we had the centering practice as well, being balanced, having your center line relaxed, relaxing your core. So all your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your jaw, your throat, your heart around your chest and down through your body. So this relaxing your center line is a state management tool that allows you to optimize how we are. And then this last one was shaking. And this shaking helps you to remove tension in your body, remove any physical tension you might have, but it's also good for psychological tension as well. A more relaxed body, it's easier to be less psychologically stressed when your body is also relaxed. Okay, last but not least, I didn't introduce this diagram earlier. I'll do so now, and I've added some extra little bits. This is a theory about different personality types, how we tend to be. Of course, as the great statistician George Wall, he was a Nobel Prize-winning statistician, said, all models are wrong, but some of them are useful. What does that mean? It means that no one model can ever tell us the entire truth. All models have flaws, but they can tell us something important. And I believe that a model such as this of personality can help us, give us insights into how we are, what we tend to do, and our habits. So this is the DISC model. D-I-S-C. D stands for dominant, I stands for influential, S stands for steady, and C stands for conscientious. And you could even relate these to the elements. The ancient Greeks talked about humors, fire, air, water, and earth. Sometimes I use fire, air, water, and earth because in almost every language in the world, you have a sense of somebody who's fiery. They you understand what I mean. If you describe somebody as fiery, you know what I mean. They're quick, they're fast, they react quickly, they're direct. And if our primary personality, the way we tend to express ourselves or our habits tends to be, so a lot of managers, and a lot of you I know are managers, tend to be fiery. They tend to be very direct. They tend to be very goal orientated. They are active, but they don't give much away. They're quite guarded about what they may reveal about themselves. So if you wanted to develop those qualities in the longer term, then you might want to do karate or kendo, it's a Japanese martial art with swords, mixed martial arts, boxing, running, squash. If you've already got lots of that quality, then you don't need to do those things. So fiery characters. On the other side, we've got air, which is also a very active type, but active is more influential, is more somebody who likes being the star of the show. So if you needed to, for example, get more comfortable with appearing on stage or appearing in front of others, and you needed to develop more of that quality, it's more, D tends to be very command and control, right? Fiery types tend to be very more command and control. I'll tell you what to do and you should do it. I say jump, you say how high. Whereas airy types try to influence others. And sometimes that can happen as managers, that we need to influence others more, especially when the teams are maybe now distant. Maybe previously you were working with teams, face to face, and now you're having to work with teams at a distance. Then it's harder to do command and control. We need to develop our influential capabilities. And to develop that sort of airy qualities in our bodies, and therefore in the ability to express, like I talked about, awareness, aware of how you are, building range, so activities that can help you build the range or your adaptability, your ability to use and display different behaviors, then that gives you choice. Then some of the activities you can do are listed there. So brainstorming, scuba diving, badminton, they're quite quick and fast. I know people who do improv or improvisational comedy. That can be really useful in developing your adaptability and your ability to react quickly. So that airy quality. If I was to talk about those four types in metaphor of a rock group or a rock band, it might make sense. So the D, the fiery type, is the manager behind the scenes, is making all the deals, making all the money, is negotiating. The I would be the Mick Jagger, would be the person out front saying, look at me, I'm amazing, I'm great, I'm an I. They would be the star of the show. So it would be like Freddie Mercury of Queen or Mick Jagger. It would be, people like Robert Downey Jr., Hollywood actors. So actors are very airy. If it was the S type, they'd be the people, they'd be the drummers and the bassist, most likely. They'd be supporting the person who was out front. And the C would be the person, or the conscientious type. They would be the person who was the technical expert. They would be the IT programmers. They'd be the sound technicians. They'd be the guitar techs. They'd be the lighting experts, and they'd be behind the scenes helping everyone sound and look perfect and amazing. If you needed to develop those qualities of S and more steadiness and more warmth and connection with others, so watery types tend to be more introverted, tend to be very warm and empathetic and kind, and maybe that's a quality that you might need to develop. Then doing things like partner dance, doing things like swimming, doing things like Yin Yoga. Yin Yoga is a form of yoga where you really slow down and go into stretches. So maybe for some fiery types who are very quick and reactive, and can be very direct, maybe slowing down, being more doing Yin Yoga. I'm not saying you do one Yin Yoga class and you're perfect and you've changed your behavior. That's not going to happen. But over time, by doing things that are more sensitive, and so Aikido is there, that's martial art, one of the martial arts that I do. you're able to react and sense others in a better way, because you're training yourself all the time to sense what the other person is doing. And that can translate into your work life, but it can also translate in your in situations of danger as well. And last but not least, maybe you need to become a little bit more detail orientated. Maybe you need to become a bit more conscientious about following through on something. Then these sports that I've got there, or these activities I've got there, gardening, walking, all of those, I'm not talking about just walking to and fro, I'm talking about hiking, being very precise about something. So some dance, ballroom dance, for example, is very good for helping you to develop that detail orientation as well. I don't want to spend too much, looking at the time, I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but those are an idea, and I will make sure that the slides are available through Lilia. I'll send Lilia the slides so you can have them. Those are an idea of how you can develop your pattern, or change your pattern or traits over the longer term. Okay, I'd like to open it up to questions now. Lilia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much, Neil, for such deep knowledge, for the experience that you are sharing with us. So let's look at the questions, if there are any in the chat box. Actually, I haven't seen any questions right now.
Okay. You can ask questions spontaneously.
Yes. So, dear colleagues, if you have any questions, so please welcome. This is the time for the questions. Okay. So I see the words of gratitude. So thank you so much. So if there are no questions right now, probably they will appear after the slides, after the video that you will review at home. So, and if you have questions later, so you can just send them to me, I will forward to Neil, or you can send the question to Neil, so you can connect with Neil in Facebook or LinkedIn. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So the words of gratitude. Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you so much, dear colleagues, for joining us. So have a nice day, and see you next time tomorrow for our Tomorrow International Lecture. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.